I told Jordan this morning, I was like, now that you're back, I'm sure Harry's going to go into the wilderness for a few weeks.
Yeah, no, I hit send on. I set up today's issue. I was like, all right, I'm out. See you in April.
Another prediction from Jen. Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
No, you still have the summit, okay?
Yeah. The reason that I'm wearing a coat is because my heater's broken. It's like 40 degrees in here. My heater's been broken for like 3 years, and you don't really need one in Texas, but...
Well, that's only like 20 degrees cooler than the way you normally keep it. So,
right. Why would I pay electricity to put it where I like it to be anyway? You know, my electricity bills in the winter is like $15 a month. And then in the summer, it's like $900 because I just run the AC at full blast. But anyway, it's good to have the whole team back.
Yes, indeed. Good to be back.
Welcome back, Jordan.
That's
looking
right.
good. Hello, Bianca. How are things in San Diego?
Nice, actually. Had a good weekend.
Well, be glad you're there because, and I'm really glad that the snowstorms are hitting this week and hopefully not next week when everybody's flying to the summit, because I think about 2,000 flights were canceled today. Winter storm in the mid-Atlantic and the Rockies and kind of everywhere, North Texas. So hope everybody is battened down and getting ready to travel next week. Got a great lineup. Go to beernet.com to check out the schedule. And we're sold out again, 350 people. That's about all the room can hold. So very gratified, and great work, Jen, on getting all of our speakers lined up. And I'll have to, it's about that time where I should probably look over the rundown and maybe familiarize myself with.
Yeah.
Getting a late start this year.
It's cool.
It's cool. So anyway, welcome everybody to BeerNet Radio, the podcast where all your dreams come true. This is our Wednesday Warehouse segment where we have our editors, Jen Litz-Kirk, Jordan Driggers, and Bianca Bruno on the call. And we thought we would go over the predictions that we made last year for 2024 and see how we did. So just from looking it over, it looks like Jen's predictions were pretty spot on, and none of my predictions came true. Let's just hear. That's the TRDR version.
I think Jen had the best average. And
yeah, she did.
Some of Jen's predictions came true like months.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And in my defense, y'all did your predictions first, so I was left with the dregs. Okay.
True.
So
Jay did pretty well too. You got the majority of yours right, and
I had a couple layups and then some big stinkers. So
yeah, I would say my biggest stinker was we're going to have an incredible year on shipments.
Yeah,
I keep saying that, but I'm gonna pull that one and move it forward into 25 because
double down.
We're just doubling down. The first, Jen's first prediction: Pepsi's Blue Cloud becomes something else entirely. Like non-existent.
Yeah.
So well
the
done.
Opposite. Yeah.
Well
thanks. My biggest stinker was Boston has a great year, and Boston has not had a great year. But I did give myself an out for 2025, and I'm doubling down on it for 2025. This year is the year that Boston's gonna pull up.
All right.
Yeah. I noticed you did that with a couple, Jen. You said, maybe not this year. We're making predictions about this year, but maybe for next year too.
But if not this year, next year. Well, isn't it Jim Cook that said, like, you can get the thing or the timing right, but usually not both?
Right.
So, it's a pros.
Yes.
But the other, there was more middle tier M&A. I'm waiting on the final number, but there are a lot of big AB deals. We didn't get like a crazy big price increase, although retailers are still telling us too high. But who knows? Again, this year, maybe with tariffs, maybe we will.
Right.
Monster did not rebrand Bang. I think, I don't know what they're going to do with that, but.
Yeah. Am I wrong in saying Bang is still in the market, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It had a little bit of a presence at NACS in their gigantic 2-story display, home turf. It was like incredible. They had like a bar, like a rooftop bar set up inside the convention center.
Wow. Well,
parlay that one into 2025.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because think of how important C-stores are to that category. It's everything. Yeah. Beer wholesalers start to buy spirits houses, a Beeritz cluster. Jen, you were right about that with Sazerac and Atomic and others moving over to beer wholesalers.
And the Spirits League, Texas beer wholesalers banded together to form the Spirits League. And then that hasn't come true yet in terms of a beer wholesaler buying a big spirits wholesaler, but we may yet see.
Yes. Let's hold that one for 25 too. Why don't we just reprint these? Save us a lot of work.
Yeah. Let's see what else. I mean, digital, that was I'm learning for the future, like, ooh, digital AI, I mean, sure, of course there's digital and AI and they're important to deals, but it's not always super transparent. Yep. Right. Craft bloodbaths, spur craft to join ranks. We've seen that a lot in divestitures. I mean, that was kind of easy. Expansion pie for hard tea, but not crazy. Indeed. Again, Boston beer returns to strength. Yeah. Put a pin in that one. Non-alc beer. Non-alc beer continues as category growth catalyst. I mean, it's a super small base, but it is the largest growth vehicle. So,
right. Yep.
So yeah, give myself a.
I would give you an A-, or
thank you.
Maybe a B+.
I'd give myself an A-.
Yeah, let's go with A-. I mean, they were good. So, Jordan's predictions: marketing to lean in on nostalgia.
Yeah, that was a layup.
Yeah,
yeah. We had Coors Light going back to the train. We had Miller Lite with the All Stars campaign, and I mean, I think it'll continue into next year too. Miller Lite celebrating its 50th anniversary, so you can bet on a big heavy dose of nostalgia with that. And then I don't think Bud Light brought any characters back, but they brought some of their old, like, for sure, ambassadors like Post Malone, Peyton Manning. Bud Light just kind of got back to humor and to what's safe. And I mean, given the events of 2023, I think we all kind of expected that. So that one was just an easy one to capitalize on. The rest, not so much.
What's up next for hard seltzer? Let's talk about that one.
I did get that one because, White Claw grew this year. We said White Claw's going to be one of the few to grow. Truly's declines improved. I think that was correct, even though their declines are still pretty terrible. And then the rest of hard seltzer, save for a few brands like Happy Dad, they're going to decline and get washed out, consolidated. And I think we've seen that. I think through like the first quarter, the first half of the year, hard seltzer items were down like 16%. So it's being cold, and I think it's not going to grow next year, but it's getting closer to right sizing and seeing growth, I think.
Yeah, because everybody but White Claw will, truly can't get any worse. And
yeah.
Well, I mean, given this morning's issue, I think Happy Dad has a window here. But and I told Sam that making a switch from one distributor to another is very disruptive. You're going to see, you might have a tough couple of months as it goes through, but it's kind of a slam dunk. Hitting all those C stores with that brand, which it has pretty good brand awareness. I think they'll be posting big numbers once their transition happens.
Yeah, get that Big Papa in C stores. I like how he was like, no, it's not a tall boy, it's a Big Papa.
Right. Big Papa.
And then in California, it's a Big Poppy.
Oh, Big Poppy.
Poppy.
And in
That's
Texas.
Good.
I mean, that is kind of like a dad joke, so I feel like it goes along with the brand. Call it a tall boy, a Big Papa.
It's good.
Yeah. Craft finds some middle ground growth in easy drinking styles. I think that's true, right?
That is true. I think prior to last year, Craft was just kind of bookends of non-alc and then high ABV, and really didn't have anything kind of growing in the middle. And then this year we saw Pilsners, Craft light beer, all the kind of easy drinking styles grow. But even with the bookends and that middle growth, craft still failed as a category to grow. But I think they're kind of figuring out the spots where they can possibly get back to growth. There's just, like we were talking about earlier, there's just it's just a bloodbath in craft.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it.
There was a story this morning in Vice talking, pretty much declaring the death of IPA. It was a very poorly written piece. And,
make sure someone we know didn't write it. Like,
well, yeah, no, I checked the byline. I didn't. I was like,
Okay.
Did a seventh grader write this? Like, what happened to Vice? I mean, talk about a brand that's just been bastardized, and they've come a long way from having a show built around Meg Gill to now hiring high schoolers to write puff pieces
about alcohol.
Yeah, right. All three tiers warm up to hemp-derived Delta 9 beverages.
Yeah, I think that one was spot on. We saw. Oh, let's hear.
Yes and no. Yes, in that more wholesalers have picked it up. Definitely, there's more interest on the retail side, but Walmart doesn't carry it, and Reyes doesn't carry it, and there's still holdouts that aren't going to touch it until it's legal, and I think that's just going to be an overhang they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, Total Wine is still the biggest retailer. I don't think really any big grocer has picked it up. It's really just big liquor stores that have kind of dove in so far. So that is true. But there are people warming up to it. I think that kind of reverses course this year.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see what happens here in Texas. The Attorney General has promised to make it illegal, basically. A lot of retailers that love it, and that's a big constituency. So I don't know if there's a political will to keep it alive. How did we end it in California?
We have I don't know if it's a formal summary judgment, but basically the health department has paused it, and then now it's in litigation in court. So it'll play out in the courts. But I mean, everyone pulled it off shelves, right? Like as soon as the health department declaration came in, I think they pulled it off, that week. So it's not being sold here.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad. I mean, I enjoy it. I'm a consumer. It's just nice in the evening, get a 5%. Flying Kites sent me a couple of cases of it. I had to hide it from my son because he was just taking it all. But thanks,
His
Flying
tolerance
Kites.
is higher ever since he did that 100 milligrams and then go to the gym.
Yeah, right.
Todd on his channel.
Speaking of, he built a home gym this week in my garage. I think that was a hint.
He built you a home gym?
Yes.
Aww.
I mean, he kind of built it for himself, clearly, but it's, he says now I have no excuse because I don't like going to the gym and seeing people I might know. And so, because I am at my highest weight that I think I've ever been. I did have a hip replacement a month ago, so that has contributed to my laying around. You know what? Just delete social media, hit the gym.
That's all. No big deal.
No
Surgeon
big deal.
General would love that.
But where are you going to post all your workout videos?
Oh, I'll find a way.
Okay.
I'll find a place for it. Don't worry, Jordan.
He'll get a GoPro so he can just,
I have
simulcast.
a GoPro. I have like 3 of them.
Okay, so you can wear that while you're working out. Just do your pods. Tell me what you think about these babies.
Yeah, these pipes. Yeah, I do want to. I want to swing back to that Surgeon General's report.
For sure.
At the end of this, I did record a segment for Fox News where I just laid into that poor Surgeon General pretty bad.
Well,
But he's on his way out.
yeah.
Joining imports, F&Bs and non-alc this year's top growth segment in beer will be cider.
Yeah, consider this my retirement from betting on cider.
This will be the year that it grows now.
No, I believe in cider. I think there's a lot of qualities about cider that are trending towards where, bev-alc drinking's going. But to think that the regional ciders could offset some of the bigger brands in that category's declines, just I don't know when that's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. So,
well, I know why you did this, because your buddies with Schilling.
I do like the Schilling guys. I like all the people in cider. I went to the cider con,
and you drank the cider,
and I drank the cider. And
no, I like Schilling. I saw him in New York. I hope he was joking, but we made a pact that we would both wear white suits at the summit.
Oh, linen, wasn't he? He was going on about wearing linen suits.
Yeah, a white linen suit in the middle of
Colin
winter.
wasn't joking.
Yeah, I can tell you he's not joking.
Yeah, well, I feel bad because I am not going to show up in a white linen suit. But
why, Iveta?
Harry's going to be giving his presentation and looking out in the crowd, and it's going to be Colin sticking out with his mullet and his white linen suit.
Amazing.
Oh, shit. I forgot mine. Yeah.
Harry, you know what? I'll wear the white linen suit, all right?
Okay.
I'm going to put it on the Amex, though.
Perfect. Yeah, we don't have an Amex, Jen. I have it.
I know. Well, it's ours.
I know. I'm going to bring it. It's in my wallet, and I'll bring it to the summit.
Yes.
So yeah, my predictions. Do we even want to go over it? It's embarrassing.
Let's embarrass you.
Okay, the first one was right. I believe there will be more and faster SKU rationalization this year, driven by retailers and distributors.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a slam dunk.
Mm-hmm.
Beer wholesaler will buy a spirits wholesaler. TBA.
You said you wanted to take it a step further.
Yeah, I think Reyes will be the catalyst on that one. And I still stand by that. Celebrity brands dead. No, there will be. Okay, so I see that you wrote in here, Jen. No, not in my wildest dreams.
No, that wasn't me. That was me. Jordan.
Oh, Jordan just comes back firing, takes 2 months off, and just comes in just dragging his boss. After, no, I mean, okay, so let's debate that, because I think Moss with what's his name? Messi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was supposed to be a Molson Coors drink, and
hey,
Mark Anthony.
We're not supposed to talk about that. We're not supposed to talk about that.
Why?
Because that is off the record.
I knew it from other sources, but whatever. Okay. We don't have to talk about it. Fine. But I think Biro.
Yeah. Okay. If I didn't think the prediction was celebrity brands aren't dead. You said owner Congo Brands is going to attract an even bigger talent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Talent.
You know why I said that? Because I had a tip that Congo's was working with Taylor Swift. And I guess that that was a bad tip or it just never came to fruition. That's why. But yeah, Coach, so you're reading my actual prediction. I'm reading what I meant to write.
Okay.
What I meant to write is, yes, celebrity brands are still going to be a thing.
All right. So we can massage that.
No, just leave it. It's fine. Molson Coors sees this and will invest heavily in non-alc, cleaning up their capital structure in ZOA. Well, this was prescient.
Yeah.
And adding a brand or two in other high-margin adjacent categories. Not yet, but they were looking at a sports and hydration drink we're not supposed to talk about, but AB's Ghost, already growing fast, will scale nationally and hit the mainstream this year. True. So, they're scaling so fast that they're now with Dr. Pepper. Did not see that one coming, I will admit. I thought that because AB had the stake that it would provide a moat around them.
Yeah.
Against JV, Coke, Pepsi,
co-created the brand. Yeah.
Right. This was a huge surprise to me.
Yeah.
That KDP ended up with that. And then wholesaler deal flow will pick up in the second half. I don't really know. I guess it kind of did.
It was front loaded, but we're still waiting on, which, by the way, I mean, so we were petrified that there would be deals coming in at the very end of the year, and there weren't. And I wonder if that's because we're about to have an administration change, and then they're just sort of going to be front loaded a little bit again. I mean, we saw a lot of action in August, right? We saw stuff in Ohio. We saw some branch divestitures. There was, of course, earlier in the year, there was the Silver Eagle, right, to Sunkey. So
I'm sure the
Yeah.
second half was still above the second half of
yeah,
2023, but
sure.
it did seem like the first half of last year was where most of the deals came through.
Right. Yeah. And Jen, I think you're right. I think people are waiting for the administration change because there might be a chance that capital gains taxes get lowered. Right. And that's
easier to,
that's a big, everything depends on capital gains. Having just sold property with a very, very low base, I am, my tax bill is the largest it's ever been in the history of my life. But, you know, that means I made money. Right. And then, you know, I put all that money in the stock market, and then now I have to sell some to pay the taxes, and the market, whatever market I invested in is down. So
put it in Bitcoin. Just kidding.
I should have. If I'd put it in Bitcoin,
you should have.
I would have doubled.
Yeah.
No, I put it in something, I don't know. The market's up, just my stocks aren't. I just want to make that clear. I've never made money in any investment in my life.
I thought you did with Monster.
Did I?
I thought you did.
I don't invest in beverage stocks, Jen.
Well, like 15 years ago.
Maybe I did.
20 years ago.
Yeah, but I got a divorce and she got the Monster stock.
Oh, there you go.
Then she sold it right before it shot up. Whatever, that's her problem. But yeah, God bless. So yeah, this one didn't. This next one
close this out with a bang, Carrie.
Yeah, and finally, I believe beer shipments will have an incredible year. Let's call it 1.5%. No, it'll be flat to down.
You meant down 1.5%.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That was.
Let's just change that to a negative after the fact.
An incredible down year.
Yeah.
We are so fucked.
We could change these. Nobody would know. Like people are gonna go back and look at it to make sure. Yeah, shipments. You know what? Pushing that one to 25. Well, that's 2 years of easy comps. Surely.
Right.
Don't call me Shirley. But I will say that we won't have strikes this year, presumably. And if the weather holds up and we don't take huge price increases, then yeah, I think we're going to have a decent year. Unless the Surgeon General keeps coming out and telling you you're going to die if you have less than a beer a day.
Good morning. Today is January 3rd. You are going to die if you drink a beer a day.
Yeah. And it's when I went on Fox, I thought this was a brilliant point. I'm like, okay, you know what the unintended consequence of that, of putting a larger warning label
100%.
Is that it penalizes beer, which comes in a smaller container. And also in bars and restaurants, beer is served in the bottle while mixed drinks are just served in a glass. So you're punishing the beverage that has the least amount of alcohol in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bullshit. And, might as well just talk about it now. And the other point I wanted to make is that this is my opinion. And the Wall Street Journal came out with an opinion piece this morning blasting that whole thing with the Surgeon General asking for warnings because of the links. Keep in mind links to cancer with even moderate drinking. First of all, it's not true. The data does not show a significant. It's statistically insignificant for moderate drinkers. Yes, so for heavy drinkers, the cancer risk does rise. And then, second of all, they cherry pick that data. It's all observational meta data. So there's no way to tease out other comorbidity. Like, are these people that drink more, are they fatter, or do they smoke? Do they tan in those tanning beds? I mean, who knows what these people do? So you can't just link it all to cancer. And I was glad that the journal came out with this morning, so I have a little air cover, because I was afraid I was pretty tough on old Dr. Merther, and I think the Fox segment's going to air later today.
Nice. I like to say a couple things too. I mean, first of all, there's no way to read this as anything but political. I mean, this is a Hail Mary 2 weeks before Trump comes in, right? And he's appointing a new Surgeon General. She's she's against vaping, but I don't think that she has any stance on bev-alc. Again, cherry pick. But the biggest thing to me are two things. A, this link is tenuous. As a consumer, I'd like to understand it more. If this is really something to worry about, they've done a poor job spelling it out for you. It is nowhere near the 80 to 90% of people who have lung cancer were smokers. There is nothing nearly as smoking gun as that. And we know that these people, these neo-prohibitionists, which I know is a bad term, but that's what they are, have been trying to put alcohol on par with tobacco for years. We heard about this at conferences 10 years ago, and they've had plenty of time to make a strong link and have failed to do so. And the other thing that kind of annoys me is that if you're talking about public health, which is what the Surgeon General's label, suggestion is, what's the effect of that label? It will push people into cannabis, right? That is what it's going to do. And is cannabis any better for you than drinking? I don't think so. I've seen stats from the National Institute of Lung and Blood or whatever. It's like a legit pertinent institution that says now we're finding out that people who smoke marijuana or use marijuana, especially smoking, have like a 25% higher risk of heart disease and that sort of thing. And that heart disease is the top killer of Americans.
Right.
So it's so problematic. Not that anybody thinks drinking is great for you, but let's deal in reality. People are going to drink. People are going to, engage in recreational things. And what is the effect of such labels? It's political and somewhat irresponsible, I think.
A good point. I agree, Jen. And the political angle, here's another thing. I think that the Surgeon General was lobbied by people in Health and Human Services to do this in order to give air cover for ICPUD, which will come out any day now with their recommendations for the dietary guidelines, which were counter to the National Academy's report that came out 2 weeks ago, which pointed out, the J curve, which is real. Like the J curve is undeniably real, meaning that moderate drinkers do have a less of a chance of dying just because of the cardiovascular benefits of moderate drinking. And, and Dr. Stockman will say, no, moderate drinking is a sign of good health. It's not, it doesn't cause good health. And I get that. That's the old causation versus correlation argument. But you could flip that on the other side and say, yeah, is it causing esophageal cancer, or is it just because heavy drinkers are also smokers and do other things? So, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think people are stupid. It's counterintuitive. Drinking a couple of beers a day is not gonna, if you were a baby, sure, because babies are little, but humans are big. A beer doesn't do anything to you.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting with what you said about your first point, Harry, and how beer kind of stands to get penalized, even though it's the beverage of moderation. And if there's a warning label on all alcohol, like where can you cut it off? Because beer goes down to like 2%, even non-alc beer has 0.5%. So where would you stop that if you're going from at least 5% up to 151 bottles of liquor? So
yeah,
totally.
My days of drinking Bacardi 151 are over.
flaming shots of Bacardi 151.
Yeah, you want to talk about danger? How about that? Serving flaming Dr. Peppers in bars. More people have been hurt by that than esophageal cancer. So
there is a direct link between flaming Dr. Pepper and esophageal cancer. We can say that. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, but I do think this whole thing may revive the equivalency wars, right? I mean, we'd been in a kumbaya moment between beer, wine, and spirits a little bit, just trying to hedge against these new dietary guidelines and coming out against alcohol in general. But now that somewhat the PR damage has already been done, regardless of what comes out in the dietary guidelines, I do think beer may try to differentiate itself more. And of course, spirits will go the other way. So that'll be interesting to see how bad that gets, the infighting.
So for 2025, do we have any predictions that we want to talk about now, or should we just wait and print them in the newsletter?
I got one. I guess maybe everybody give one.
All right.
I think there will be some changeover at the top in the beer C-suite. I think there's going to be at least one major turnover.
Interesting. You know that on predictions, our only rule is to not talk about people's jobs.
Well, I didn't say who.
Okay.
Fine. We'll scratch them and we'll just leave it here.
But I agree with you. Because usually these guys lasted this job about 5 years, and all of them have been in for longer than 5 years. So the only exception to that is Constellation, which keeps people on forever. Because they're an American company that they don't really have much of an overseas presence, and so
Right.
that's why these big conglomerates, because they go to the UK or
Yeah.
South America, they move them around. That's why we have these changes. But yeah, interesting. Jordan?
I think kind of going back to your Taylor Swift prediction, I think we will see more celebrities come into beer this year, but non-alc. I think with Spider-Man and now the bad press, there's going to be opportunities, and there's going to be people that were trying to get in that maybe they're kind of being told, well, alcohol may not be the safest bet right now, but if you wanted to get into non-alc.
I have heard a rumor that Clooney is going to try and do his Casamigos magic again, but with a vodka, is the rumor on the street.
I did hear that too.
Yeah. Good luck on that. Differentiating a vodka right now. Good luck,
Right.
dude.
I think the big brewers will sell more than they buy.
So Tilray's going to be buying more stuff. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
I don't know. There's not many big brewer owned craft left. The only one I can think of is Lagunitas.
Yep.
And that could be one in play. So
Yep. Japanese brewers are still buying, the only ones in Tilray.
yeah. But for Anheuser-Busch, Molson Coors, I think they'll continue to sell off more brands, equipment, facilities than they purchase over the
Right. I think that's a nice one. Bianca, do you have any predictions for 25? We're 6 days in.
I do for D9. I think there's going to be some supplier rationalization, not just SKU rationalization. So in the more, mature markets, they've been around a couple of years in Minnesota, there's just like hundreds of brands on the shelf. And we kind of talked about how there aren't any major like grocery retail or, the Walmarts haven't got into this yet. But when they do, they're going to take on a couple of the big players, and those brands definitely emerged at this point. And so, I think that's going to be a topic next week at the summit too.
Yep. I think you're spot on there. Definitely. And that leads into my one prediction, which, it's not even a prediction. It's because I've been to the supplier meetings in the last 6 months, and everybody's been saying this. So is that brewers are going to take a pause on innovation this year. There's not going to be a lot of new to world brands coming out. In fact, they'll be rationalizing SKUs and brands to tighten up their supply chains. And it's just the retailers have pushed back on too much, and wholesalers pushed back, and then now the suppliers are figuring that out. And everybody's just saying, hey, let's grow organically. How about we grow the products we already have? How about trying that for a change? Which is boring, but probably the right decision at this point. Pricing is a wild card to me. We didn't really take much pricing this year. I mean, compared to previous years.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know if the consumer is ready for more big price increases. The one thing that's different now is that, beer has been taking such heavy pricing that I think we've pushed demand to spirits, but now spirits are down. So they're not going to be motivated to take pricing either. So I don't know.
Well, I have a question for you. If those Mexican import tariffs come through at the order of 25%, if they do, I would think Constellation would have to take more robust pricing. Do you think if they do that other brewers follow or no?
Yes. It would be foolish not to. You know, I also think that Constellation would be motivated to eat most of it. Maybe, because it would probably be temporary. If it happens, I think it's more of a bluff to get Mexico to do things that Trump wants them to do. Yeah. So I don't put a high probability on it actually happening, but if it does, and it could, I would view that as a temporary thing. And do you want to jack up the price only to try and you can't bring it back down? And I don't know. Because, when the feds doubled the excise tax in 91, Crown, or Constellation, Barton, it was called Barton at the time, and Gambrinus ate the price increase. And that's really what started Corona's mad ascension in the beginning, was that decision. But yeah, 25% is a lot to eat.
I mean, I don't know that they could eat all of it, but
right. I mean, they could eat it if they brought production here, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that would be in the short term would be kind of impossible, right? I mean,
they could tear down that brand new Veracruz brewery and then move it again,
or just put it on a barge. Complete. Just put it on a barge and take it, 5 miles out into international waters, so that there's no taxes at all.
They could buy City Brewing and do it there.
Yeah, good predictions, folks. Good predictions. Well, good. Well, thank you for coming on BeerNet Radio, everybody. We'll be seeing everybody at the Breakers in Palm Beach next week. Looking forward to that. All right, guys. Well, take care. Have a good weekend. Oh, shit.
Oh, wait. I have one more thing. More thing.
Never mind. Have a good weekend, guys. I'm out.
Wait. Yeah, Harry. Jordan, before you came on, I told Harry how I told you that he was going to go into the wilderness now that you're back. And he was like, yep, I pressed send on this morning's issue. And I was like, peace out.
It's like a long winter's nap.
Don't forget about this summit. Speaking of the summit, if any of our listeners have questions for the people on the stage, if you would email them to us, we'll try and work them in, because we want to make sure that we maximize all those awesome speakers. So
yes, jen@beernet.com. Let's go ahead and put that out there. Go ahead. Jen with 2 N's. All right, well, have a good week, and we will check in back with you next week on BeerNet Radio's Wednesday Warehouse. Ciao.
Bye.